Director for the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity, Stephen Woolfe. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me. OK, so I want to ask you, though, why do we still appear to be stuck in a continuous sort of legal battles with lawyers and things like that, adamant to stop these deportations of illegal migrants?
Well, that's quite simple. There is two big philosophical arguments being placed between those who support the government's view that we need to tackle illegal immigration and the asylum burden by looking at alternatives such as the Rwanda scheme. And there are those on the left and the immigration industry who benefit highly from having to deal with mass illegal immigration and the asylum system, who fundamentally we use every tool that they've got to oppose the government so that we can eventually move to a system where we have complete open borders. That is why you've got this battle. One has to win over the other. And unfortunately, the immigration industry has more of the means and resources and the kind of support of places like the newspapers and the elites than the government does at this moment.
I noticed that you call it an immigration industry, which, you know, it's about time people admit that it seems to be some sort of money tree that we, the public, seem to be paying for. Do you think there's a responsibility for expectancy for hotels, for the Home Office to sort of take this on for migrants? Because it seems that we, without question, are just housing people who've come here illegally, and we seem to be harbouring them, keeping them, and then trying to house them again somewhere in this country without really sending anybody back.
No, we tend not to send people who have failed the asylum process back, much less than we do those who have committed crimes. There have been an increase of those who are foreign-born criminals that have been kind of deported from the United Kingdom. But those on the asylum process tend not to. Our research shows that on the whole, we're getting about 13 to 18,000, depending on what year you look at, who fail the asylum system every year and are never returned. So over the past 10 years, we have about 180,000 who have not yet been returned despite failing the asylum system. And what that means, Nana, is that, quite frankly, they've got to be housed. Once they've had the asylum process completed, even if they failed, the government still houses them. And then they start putting the pressure on local authorities across the country. And we have a number of programs, and a number of councils have been working with the government for many years. But even they now are saying to the government, we cannot cope. We cannot find hotels to put them in. We cannot find social housing to put them in. And there is now a real battle between finding space for those asylum seekers, of which the government pay them a reasonable amount of money to these councils, in comparison to those local people who are stuck in bed and breakfast. 250,000 this year. Local people in the community, born in their areas, will be living in bed and breakfast scenarios and not being able to move in accommodation. And some in the asylum system will be getting that before them.